If we take a look at the Changan lineup in the Philippines, the Alsvin, the CS35 Plus, the CS55 Plus, the Unity, and the Unik, those all come with 5 seats. So what if I want something with 7 seats? Well, here it is. Hey guys, Jamil here from AutoIndustriya.com, and what I have here is the Changan X7 Plus. It's actually the first new model launched by Inchcape Philippines. They are the new distributors of the Changan brand in the country. Now, as I've mentioned earlier, the Changan X7 Plus is a 7-seater crossover SUV, and at 4.7 meters long, 1.9 meters wide, and around 1.8 meters tall, it sizes up as a mid-size crossover. But in terms of the looks, well, this is your typical Changan with the busy front end. These are your LED DRLs. You also have projector LED headlights here down below. But the grille itself is different. You know, this mesh right here is what you'd normally see in luxury MPVs like the Alphard or, minivans like that. And that's because the Changan X7 Plus belongs in the Ocean brand. So Ocean is actually a sub-brand of Changan, and those are their vehicles that are designed for affordable premium. So more on that once we check out the interior. But the rest of the vehicle is more like an MPV rather than an SUV, especially if you compare it to the outgoing CS75 Plus. There's a lot less going on with the sides of the vehicle. And when you take a look at the CS75 Plus over this X7 Plus, the X7 Plus is actually more like an Okavango contender rather than, competing with the likes of the Tiggo 8 Pro. But nevertheless, the X7 Plus still wears 19-inch wheels, and these red accents make it look like, a sporty MPV. But do let us know what you think of the styling in the comment section down below. So here at the back is where we see more of the Changan X7 Plus's MPV-ish styling. So you do have the Ocean words spelled out here in the middle. So again, Ocean is the sub-brand of Changan in terms of affordable premium. You have the X7 Plus badge right here, as well as the 300T, which is related to the engine torque itself, which we'll get to see a bit later on, and the Changan badge on the left. These are your reflectors, as well as your reverse light. And you also have, these exhaust finishers, which are non-functional, which I'm really not a fan of. But anyway, let's pop open this trunk. So you do have to do the lifting by yourself. But I reckon Changan could actually put in an electric tailgate because of this provision right here. But in terms of the cargo space, you have 13 inches of length from here to here, 39 inches of width from this point up to this point, and cargo height of about 29 inches. So if you're not loading the back with the third row seats with passengers, you can actually fold this one out. These fold flat. So in this configuration, you have 39 inches of cargo length. So if you do need more space, well, the second row seats, while do they not fold flat, it gives you up to 70 inches of cargo length. So plenty of space for you to carry around with the X7 Plus. Powering the Changan X7 Plus is, well, you guessed it, a 1.5-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged gasoline engine. And I'm not quite sure if this one is the same engine as the one you see in the CS55 Plus, which we'll check that one out. But yeah, it has the Blue Core technology, and it's producing 185 PS and 300 Newton meters of torque. So the engine itself is paired to a 7-speed wet-type dual-clutch transmission, which has sequential gears as well. So if you want manual mode, you can actually do that with the X7 Plus. It also has 3 driving modes, which we'll get to test later on. But first, let's check out the interior. The Changan X7 Plus is what I'd like to call an occasional 7-seater. Because to access the third row, well, these second row seats don't actually have a tumble function. So to enter the third row, you're gonna have to recline these seats forward. Move it like that. And there you go. The same goes actually for these seats right here. Now, when you do access the third row, legroom and headroom is actually okay for a guy my size, though I would reserve this one for shorter trips. So you do have cup holders on either sides of the vehicle. But yeah, it's the ingress and egress that is actually a cause for concern with the X7 Plus. Now, let's move over to the second row. Now, the second row of the Changan X7 Plus is a much better place to be in because, apart from these leather seats with the orange stitching, well, you also have these dual AC vents in the middle, as well as a charging port right here. Also, the flooring is relatively flat, so even the middle row passenger can have a comfortable time inside the X7 Plus. Above it, well, we have a sunroof. Actually, it's not a sunroof. It's more like a canopy because we could actually open it. So we also have this shade right here. So when it does get sunny, you can close this one up for a more comfortable time inside. Now, here in the middle, you have 2 cup holders and 2 more on either side of the vehicle. But that's about it here. We also have ISOFIX anchors on the right side and the left side of the second row. Now, the main business of the X7 Plus is in front, so let's check it out. So here, the driver's seat is where we see more of Changan's execution of the dashboard. So we have soft touch here, Alcantara-like material right here. The sidings are also, well, these are also similar to an Alcantara, but not quite. The stitching is quite nice as well. The orange contrast. And the dashboard itself, well, you still have toggle controls for the AC, which is a good thing. So you don't have to fiddle with the screens just to adjust the fan speed or even the thermostat. Now, in front of me is a D-cut steering wheel that's leather wrapped. Feels nice to the touch. You have your controls for the cruise control on the left, as well as your 360 camera, which I'll show in a bit. On the right side, you also have your audio controls for the infotainment system. The instrument cluster itself, well, it actually has nice graphics, and you can see there doors open, your fuel gauge here in the left, temperature in the right, and the drive mode as well. But you can explore more on the infotainment system. So unfortunately, this one doesn't have Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. So to connect your smartphone, you still have to download this Car Auto Global app. So it's a third-party software you have to download for, I think, your iPhone or even Android phones to connect your phone in this infotainment system. But what the Changan X7 Plus is good at in terms of this interior feature is the car recorder itself. Just look at that. Basically have Big Brother in here. So you have the views for the front, the back, the left, and the right. So fisheye lens in here. So it's very good, very detailed. As well as the 360 camera, which has a very nice resolution. You can actually see what's on your left side, the right side, wide angle views in front, wide angle views at the back. So it's very useful when you're parking this crossover SUV. And what else do we have here? We also have the controls for the drive mode. You can swipe it over to the right to access. We have comfortable, sports, and economic. So what else? Well, unfortunately, the X7 Plus doesn't have a wireless charging pad, but you do have 2 Type A USB charging ports, as well as a 12-volt outlet in the middle. So this is your shifter. It does come with a manual mode, so if you want more control over the gears, you can actually do that here in the X7 Plus. Your engine start stop button is on the left side. Then you do have your electronic parking brake and your auto, I think this is your auto high beam. So still have a few empty buttons right here. So I think Changan can still come up with a more higher spec version of the X7 Plus. So last thing here is your two cup holders and your glove box. So now let's go out for a drive and see how the X7 Plus feels like on the road. Now it's time to do the driving impressions of the Changan X7 Plus, and the initial feel is that the Changan X7 Plus feels, pretty solid. It feels well built because I've been driving around EDSA for quite a while now, and I barely hear any rattles from, the interior parts, the suspension. Yeah, it still feels very comfortable even on 19-inch wheels. In terms of the controls, it's also, pretty precise. The dual clutch transmission also feels nice even in slow moving traffic, In dual clutch transmissions, that tends to be an issue. It can get jerky, but with the X7 Plus, the transmission itself operates pretty smooth. It's also responsive, by the way, even in the most conservative setting, which is eco mode. I'm in eco mode right now, but the steering itself is set in the sportiest setting, but it still feels pretty light. So for everyday driving, the X7 Plus will be a very comfortable 7-seater crossover SUV to drive. So now that we're in traffic, let's put on the list of the safety features that the Changan X7 Plus has. Probably here or right here. Now, what the Changan X7 Plus lacks though is ADAS. So you do have your regular cruise control when you're driving along, but it doesn't have things like AEB or the forward collision warning. Some of those things that we see with the CS55 Plus and the Uni T crossover that we have tested before. Now, one more thing about the Changan X7 Plus is that the side mirrors can get in the way of your vision when you're driving. Now, especially when you're turning left or right, the side mirrors are pretty big and it's positioned pretty high. So I already have my driving position set pretty high also, so I can peek through these large side mirrors. But other than that, it's very comfortable. It's something I see myself, that I can drive every day and not complain about one bit. It also has plenty of power. Even in eco mode, the transmission is responsive. Once you do switch to sports mode, it does transform into, a sporty SUV. It's light on its feet, and in terms of fuel economy, it's also pretty good. In the city, I've been averaging around 8.9 kilometers per liter. That's on an 18 kilometer per hour average. But do take note that I took those numbers when I was driving alone. So once you load it up with passengers, this X7 Plus, expect those fuel numbers to go down as well. And in terms of the highway fuel efficiency numbers, I got around 14.7 to 15 kilometers per liter. That's on a 78 kilometer per hour average. So still pretty good numbers for a vehicle this size. But the main concern I had with the X7 Plus is that the fuel tank seems small. The fuel bars drop faster than normal compared to the other vehicles that I've tested before. So right now I'm left with only 2 bars, but I still have around 113 kilometers of range. Overall, yeah, the X7 Plus can be driven every day and have you and your occupants comfortable. So what about the price? And now that's something we would discuss at our warehouse. So let's go back and discuss more about it. One of the good things going for the Changan X7 Plus is its pricing. Because for 1,580,000 pesos, it's hard to find mid-size crossovers at this price point, let alone one that comes with 7 seats. So in terms of pricing, yes, the Changan X7 Plus does indeed offer an attractive proposition. It drives well, it rides smoothly, and it has a powerful engine. Though we reckon it could use some, a bigger tank for a much greater range, especially if you're gonna take the X7 Plus on road trips. As for the ownership itself, well, Changan Auto Philippines offers a 5-year, 150,000 kilometer warranty for your peace of mind. However, the Changan X7 Plus is indeed missing some advanced safety features such as ADAS and some more interior features that we normally see in its competitors. We know Changan could, pull off an X7 Plus that has all the bells and whistles, and it's pretty interesting to see how they could price that one compared to their competitors if they would offer one pretty soon. But what do you think of the Changan X7 Plus? Tell us what you think in the comment section down below. This is Jamil of AutoIndustriya.com. Thank you for watching.